Welcome to the Black and Gold Hour podcast. This is your host, Merv, and I thank you all for joining with me today. If it's your first time, thank you. I really appreciate it. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for checking out the podcast. If you've been here before, then you already know how we do. We cover the Saints because this is a podcast for Saints fans by a Saints fan. Thank you all for joining with me. But honestly, I'm smiling right now, but today is not a great day. Last night, in case you missed it, the Saints lost 37-30 to the Red Hot Green Bay Packers, in a loss that, I mean, it seems like the first loss from the Raiders was kind of an overreaction loss. Like, we took it to the next level. But now we're noticing some huge problems with the team. And I'm here just to discuss what I saw and what I noticed over the course of the game. Like I said, everyone's going to have different opinions about what happened. Everyone's going to have different opinions on what needs to change within the Saints organization. But I'm going to give you my opinion today. And like I said, this video won't be long because my energy is not there. But let's start with some positives. The Saints were able to score 30 points. The offense was able to create some plays. Alvin Kamara. Let's just get started on that. If anybody is absent of blame for this loss and any of the losses this season against the Raiders last week, Alvin Kamara came to play. He has 6 TDs in 3 games. Obviously, he's in the MVP race right now. If the MVP race were to end today, he would be one of the top candidates. He's balling. I know last year he was dealing with the injury. If you listen to the podcast, Trust Levels with Cam Jordan and Mark Ingram, then you would have noticed that Alvin Kamara did say that he was injured last season and the team knew. So last year we were kind of hard on Alvin Kamara. We didn't really know what was going on because there's a lot of inside stuff that the team knows that, us regular fans really don't know. So he was injured last year. He played through. So he deserves all the money that he got because he played with the injury, risked his career for the betterment of the team and his family, his team, family, and for Saints and Who Dat Nation. So, I mean, kudos to him. Alvin Kamara is honestly a baller. He was balling last night. He took back passes behind the line of scrimmage and turned them into touchdowns, a 52-yard run. I mean, but that's not even just the 52-yard run. The everything that he does on the field is just top notch. His footwork, his vision, his patience. I mean, everything Alvin Kamara does is great right now. So Demario Davis also playing well as well. He did have a penalty that was costly yesterday, but I'll get into the penalties as well. But Demario Davis is a player that I can't really say too many negative things about. He's a playmaker. He's a hustler. And he's like the captain of our defense, basically. Another player that I want to talk about, and I talked about him last week, was Josh Hill. His blocking is exceptional. Tre'Quan Smith, his blocking as well is exceptional. When you come into the Saints organization as a receiver or a tight end, you can expect a block, and those two definitely do that. Another player that on the defensive side of the ball that I'm happy to mention is Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He had a good game. He was all over the field, one of my favorite players on the defense. And lastly, Trey Hendrickson. Marcus Davenport is out right now, and he is stepping in. And I mean, Trey Hendrickson, his name is always on the intercom at least once or twice throughout the game. And that's a player that many people don't think is as talented as Marcus Davenport. But for me, he's showing up. And right now, even when Davenport comes back, in my opinion, I don't think you can take Trey Hendrickson off the field right now. He's balling. And I know Marcus Davenport, they'll probably rotate reps, but at the same time, Trey Hendrickson is a player that I want to continue to see on the field because he's in rhythm right now. But let's get to the things that I didn't like so much in this game, and it's a lot. So I'm kind of going to go read over some notes and elaborate on those notes that I mentioned last night over the course of the game. So the first note that I mentioned is the fact that actually the first thing I said going into the game was the Saints better not play with me during this primetime game. And honestly, the last few primetime games for the Saints going back to last season, in the season before last, unless Drew Brees is breaking a record, we aren't impressive anymore. I remember the days where the Saints would score 60, 50. I mean, it was a 62-point game, early in the Drew Brees, Sean Payton years. It just seems like that is gone. It seems like I'm seeing a lot of analysts and people say that nobody's afraid of the Saints no more. And honestly, I can see why. They just don't look the same as they used to. So the first thing I said was, don't play with me in this primetime game. The Saints have had 3 primetime games back-to-back in a row this season, and they haven't really looked too impressive, even with the win over Tampa in week 1. So going into this game, that was my first kind of thought going into this game, and I wanted to see them get back to their old primetime days where it was a guaranteed win almost, but that didn't happen tonight. First thing I noticed, first thing I tweeted about was Sanders was wide open on the 3rd down play. I think the Saints' first drive, they went 3 and out. Sanders was wide open on a slant pass. And that leads me to the conversation that everybody's kind of been talking about last week and even going back to last season, and that's Drew Brees. Emmanuel Sanders just got to the team. So he's still learning the offense. The Saints offense is very, very, very technical. The book is big, like I said last week. And I mean, Drew Brees just has to throw him the ball. He was able to make some plays later in the game and score a touchdown. So I'm very excited about that. But I do believe that Drew Brees and Emmanuel Sanders have to get on the same page in order for the Saints to be successful on the offensive end, even when Mike Thomas gets back. My personal belief is that the Saints shouldn't be necessarily struggling with Michael Thomas out. Even when Michael Thomas was reported to be out several weeks, I was not alarmed. I just felt like Kamara, Cook, Taysom Hill, Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, we have all of these pieces, Latavius Murray. Why do we need one player to carry the entire offense? And so I want Drew Brees to find those receivers. He missed a few receivers, and even Chris Collinsworth had mentioned it on TV that there was a route to Deontay Harris that he was wide open. If Drew Brees would have just threw it, then we would have been good. I mean, my tweets last night and my notes last night, I was just lost. Drew Brees has always kind of been like a underrated gunslinger. Like, he throws the ball, like he's gonna throw it. So it's just unlike him right now, to not be throwing his receivers the ball. It seems like we didn't get a pass that went 10 yards until middle of the 3rd quarter. And I know some fans aren't worried about that, but I am, because I feel like when we get to the playoffs, teams are going to stack the box. The safeties are going to come closer to the line of scrimmage, and we're going to be in trouble if we don't throw the ball down the field. So, I mean, like I said, I continue to kind of talk about Drew Brees. I continue to kind of, it's sad, it's heartbreaking almost as a fan, because I don't want to say that he's washed. I don't want to say that he's done. I don't want to say that he's trash or garbage, like, overreacting Saints fans would say. But right now, he is not looking good, and it's actually, my heart is beating as I'm saying this, because I feel like, straight blasphemy to say that Drew Brees is not good. But right now, I don't see, with the way that he's playing quarterback, that we can continue to be successful. Even if we make it to the playoff, it's going to lead to a heartbreaking exit again if Drew Brees and the offense aren't able to capitalize. But I won't say that it's entirely Drew Brees' fault why we lost this game. I think it's the offense's fault in general, the play calling, Sean Payton, the screens. I personally have a problem with the screens. I mean, I've been watching the Saints since I was 10, 11 years old, and it always seems as if I'm a civilian and I know the Saints are running the screen. Imagine an NFL team that has weeks, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 1 week, maybe 7, 8 days to prepare for the Saints. They're going to know that they're running a screen as well. I mean, they're going to pinpoint Alvin Kamara. They're going to pinpoint Michael Thomas when he gets back. And Drew Brees has to put the ball in someone else's hands. It almost seems like we were getting 4 and 5 yards a carry. Latavius Murray, it seemed like he was getting 7, 8 yards a carry every time he touched the ball. And we continued to throw the ball. And then on third short downs, instead of running, which was our strong point all game, it seems like we wanted to run a screen. I mean, the play calling, as well as Drew Brees being hesitant to throw the ball down the field, is hurting our offense. And I'm getting sick and tired of Who Dat Nation. I love my Saints. We cannot continue to blame the defense. The defense is not clutch. I mean, that's just the truth. They weren't clutch in 2018 against the Rams. But then again, the offense shouldn't have ever been put in that position to have to stop the Rams from going down the field. The offense had the ball and were within 10 yards of the touchdown. So the offense has to begin to capitalize. Last week, the defense was on the field 33 minutes. If your defense is on the field 33 minutes, it's a 95% chance you're going to lose every game. So the offense has to be a lot better in order for the team to win. The defense, yes, they have a lot of errors, and I'm going to get into that in a couple of seconds. But the offense has to be better. Drew Brees has to be better. The receivers have to be better. And without a preseason, I won't overreact and say this will be them for the rest of the season. But right now, I do believe that the offense is a bigger concern than the defense right now. But I'm going to get into the defense now. The defense. One player that everybody seems to be concerned about is Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan is our all-pro, defensive end of the decade type of player. And he's getting blocked by tight ends right now. I don't know what's going on. I know that he was injured towards the end of last year. So maybe that could be going into his woes right now, but he doesn't even have a tackle for loss. I read and on Pro Football Focus, he doesn't even have a tackle for loss. He doesn't have a sack. I mean, Cam Jordan is not looking good right now, and he's one of our stars. And I think that's the key to the Saints right now. Our stars have to step up. I repeat, our stars have to step up. Drew Brees, Cam Jordan, Marshawn Lattimore. Marshawn Lattimore, a lot of people are talking about how Marshawn Lattimore maybe plays down to his competition. And that may be the case. But at the same time, I believe that you can't do that. I believe that someone has to talk to him within the facility, if that's the case, and have him get his head on straight. Now, then again, I believe that sometimes it doesn't matter who you're playing against. Anybody can win a matchup any given Sunday. So Marshawn Lattimore just has to stay focused and stay on his game. It's a long season. It's only week 3, but right now it is scary. And going into next summer, he's going to be asking for big money, correct? So you got to do better. Now, I mentioned something throughout the course of the game, and I almost, like, if my dad was here or my old basketball coaches was here, they probably would be shaking their head at me. And you can never blame the refs for a game. I mean, the refereeing last night was awful. So many missed calls. I mean, the intentional grounding that went uncalled against Aaron Rodgers was unacceptable. I mean, there was a 4th-and-1 play where the team stopped the running back behind the line of scrimmage, and the referees picked up the ball and moved the ball at least 2 yards. I mean, the fact that the Saints even had to challenge that play, I mean, and I talked about this last week when Mike was on the show. If you believe in conspiracy theories or anything like that, I mean, this game, all but confirmed it. I mean, the NFL clearly has an agenda against the Saints or the referees, because the officiating last night was absolutely horrible. I mean, the defensive pass interference on Marcus Williams, that was an uncatchable ball. Though Marcus Williams was in the wrong spot, why do we as the Saints have to play perfect in order to win the game? It always seems like we have to play perfect because the referees will not do their job, and they will call the flags against us. There was a push off that was kind of, some arguments online about whether it was a push off against Malcolm Jenkins when the tight end on Green Bay scored. All I said was, if it was the Saints who committed that push off, that suspect push off, the flag would have came out. I'm 1,000% sure. If you're a Who Dat Nation fan, then you agree with me as well, because you know that if a flag is going to come, it's going to come against the Saints. And right now, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the Saints not only having to face another team, but they also have to face the refs. I mean, these are grown men here. This is Aaron Rodgers. The Saints aren't going to be perfect, but we can't also be playing against the refs as well. So we got to do better on that front. The refs just have to be better. But let's get to my final thoughts about the one of the last 2 drives. The offense seemed to run a screen, gave the ball right back to the Green Bay Packers when it was 30-27. Packers were up and they got the ball back. When they got the ball back, my notes were, we cannot continue to get mad at the defense. Like I said earlier, we cannot continue to get mad at them. Yes, they gave up 37 points, but they're always on the field. I mean, they're always on the field. Any defense, and we've seen our defense, they make mistakes. Sometimes they get in their head. And if they're constantly on the field, those mistakes will show on the field. So our offense has to do better. Sean Payton, Drew Brees, I don't know what's going on, but you guys got to get in sync, because right now it's hurting our defense. Our defense is talented, and our defense does have to play a lot better. But there are some things on the offensive end that can alleviate some of those defensive woes. So we got to be better. Honestly, I just want to shout out kudos to Alvin Kamara as well. Like I said before, if it wasn't for him, we probably would have got blown out. Drew Brees had 288 yards for 3 touchdowns. And though that is an impressive stat line, I think Alvin Kamara, probably attributed to 70, 50, 60% of those yards. So I think Drew Brees definitely has to throw the ball down the field. I'm getting really discouraged with his play right now. And I did watch his interview yesterday night, and he said that he is not meant to throw deep. He's meant to call the plays and get the team in position to score. And yet, though I agree, that type of play style won't be very effective in the playoffs. Once teams are, playing at another level, and they also have added motivation. They also have 16 weeks of tape to see that the Saints are not trying to go deep. I mean, there are people who are open. There are plenty of players who were open last night. Deontay Harris, Emmanuel Sanders. I think we need to look for Adam Troutman as well. He tends to be open as well. So we just got to do better as a team in general. I watched Alvin Kamara's interview after the game, and he stated that we just all got to be better. I mean, he's playing out of his mind, but they all got to be better. I think Cam Jordan has to be better. Drew Brees has to be better. Sean Payton has to run the ball. We need to run the ball. We were getting 7 yards a carry. It seemed like 7, 8 yards a carry in the first half. Why would you stop? It doesn't seem like the other team stopped. Once they find a blueprint to beat the Saints, they continue to do it until we stop it. Most of the time, we don't stop it. Darren Waller last week, they found out we couldn't cover Darren Waller. They gave him the ball every play. This week, yesterday night, we chip the tight end and then let him fall into the flat open every time. We'd never stop it, so they continue to do it. So why, when no one can stop our running game, we don't continue to do it? I don't know. These are questions that I have. It's only week 3, so there's no overreaction, but the Saints are 1-2. We'll be back in a couple of days just to preview the Detroit Lions game. Matt Stafford, y'all know he throws the ball, so let's just hope things get better. But thank you guys for listening to the Black and Gold Hour podcast. Wherever you are, whenever you're listening, I hope you guys have a great day, good night, good evening, whatever time it is. You guys have a good day. Be safe. And remember, pray for these Saints.